name's Sarah and I work for Hobbycraft Bournemouth. Today I'm going to be showing you 3 things for kids to make with dough and clay. For this project you will need some plasticine, polymer clay, air drying clay, some cookie cutters, a keyring fob and some jump rings, some pliers and some pencils to work onto. Firstly, I'm going to make a plasticine pencil topper. I'm going to start by taking some white plasticine and making a round ball in my hand. I'm then going to flatten this slightly and then we can start working it into a cloud, either with our fingernails or the pencil that we're using, or something like a cocktail stick. So I'm just doing some grooves top and bottom, and then you can work back into these in a second. When you've made your basic cloud shape, you can then see if it will fit on the end of the pencil. So just gently try not to destroy any shapes you've made. Just push it on slightly. Next we're going to move on to a rainbow coming out the top. So I'm going to need a small amount of a few different colours. You need to roll these into a thin sausage. So I've laid my colours down in the order they would appear in the rainbow. So you just need to gently squeeze them together. And you can just break off any end bits that you don't need. So hopefully this should be the right size to fit on top of our cloud. So if you just press it on, it should want to stick to the other plasticine anyway. And the last thing I'm going to do, I'm going to add a small raindrop onto the cloud as well. And that's our finished plasticine pencil topper. Next we are going to make a polymer clay keyring. You need to take nearly half a packet of the polymer clay out. You just need to work it between your hands just to soften it up and warm it up. Once it's nice and soft and pliable, we need to roll it into a ball and then lay it on our surface, and we can just use the palm of our hand to flatten it out, and just remember to turn it over a few times to make it nice and even. We then take one of the cookie cutters. As it's a keyring, I'm going to be using a small butterfly, and just centre that into your clay and push down firmly. And pull up, and then I'm going to use a little bit of the excess from this to create a small sausage for the body of the butterfly, and again this should just lay on top. I'm then just going to take a pencil just to add some detailed impressions. Once you're happy with the design of your keyring, you need to add a small hole right towards one of the edges. So just work a small hole. I'm doing mine in the top of the wing, and that will allow us to attach the jump ring and keyring once it's baked. Once you've finished working on your keyring design, you need to transfer it to a baking tin with some tin foil on top. This then goes into the oven at approximately 110 degrees Celsius for about half an hour. When it comes out, you need to let it cool completely, and then it should be rock solid. Here's one that's already been in the oven, and I've also painted a layer of glossy Mod Podge on top to seal it in, just to give it a nice finish. So now we need to take a keyring and some jump rings and attach it all together. I'm using flat nose pliers and some round nose pliers to open my jump ring. You need to take your keyring and thread that on too. And this should just close up the jump ring nice and tight. And that's our finished polymer clay keyring. Next we are going to make a pencil pot. For this we need some air drying clay. I'm using the terracotta colour. You can use the white and then paint it after. I'm going to take about half of this size large block, and then you just need to knead this to make it a bit more malleable and pliable. Once it feels a bit more easy to work with, you need to take off a small satsuma sized piece and knead this a bit further. We need to roll this into a ball. This is going to be our base of our pencil pot. So once we've got it roughly circular, we can then just flatten it down using our fingers So take the rest of the clay that we've already torn off and worked with, and we need to roll this into a sausage shape. This needs to be long enough to fit round the base of our pot, so just keep working till you think it is, and then we need to flatten it. As you're working it flat, you may see some cracks appear, and I've got a little cup of water over here, just dip your fingers in and this will just help to smooth everything back, and will also help in the next stage when we're attaching it to the base. Once you think you've got your sides large enough, you could just measure around the pot to double check, and then you can just smooth your sides, ready to go onto the base. The next stage is to attach the side walls of the pot to the base. So I'm going to take a little bit of water and just rub it around the edges of the base, and then just using my fingernail create a few little ridges around there to help the clay attach together. You can use something like a fork or a knife, as long as it's not one that you're going to be eating with afterwards. And then my side, and just place it on top and just tear away the excess clay, and then pinch the two ends together. Now we have the rough pot shape, we need to make sure we work any joins out, and I again just use some water just to smooth all the bits of clay together. Once you are happy with your basic pot shape, you can then go on to add some details. You can add coiling around the top and some embellishments on the front. I'm going to add a face onto the front of my pot. So we need to take some of the excess clay. I'm going to mould a nose and a mouth shape. Draw some eyes on. You do slightly lightly at first, and you can always go back in once you're happy with your lines. The last thing I'm going to do is apply a single coil to the top just to neaten off the top and finish that off. So again, we need a small piece of clay rolled into a sausage. And just continue to work until you're happy with the finish. Now we've finished actually moulding our clay pot, we need to let it dry. This could take up to 2 or 3 days depending on the thickness of the thing you've created. You can leave it near a radiator on something like some foil on a baking tray so that it will come away nice and easily. But try not to speed up the drying too much, or you may end up with your pot cracking and falling apart. You can then seal over the top with some varnish or Mod Podge. So, just to recap, today we have made a Plasticine pencil topper, a polymer clay keyring, and an air drying clay pencil pot. For any more information on the products I've used today, please visit our website or pop into store to speak to one of our colleagues.